Welcome back to Smash Brothers here on the K-Wings Let's Plays channel, and today, as promised, we are looking at Lucas. In the comments section below, tell us your favorite Earthbound character and why. Also, mash that like button for Lucas inclusion in Super Smash Brothers, Wii U, and 3DS. Because we know there's a huge group of Earthbound fans. I'm one of them. And I used to be a member of Starman.net. If you don't know what that is a very popular Earthbound website that we've been trying for years to get various Earthbound games to release over here in the United States, and we did succeed with Earthbound Beginnings, or rather Mother 1.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Oh, and before I forget too, make sure you guys buy the very first merchandise for Mother 3, which is Lucas as an amiibo. We want to see this thing sell out everywhere so that Nintendo will have to think about bringing back the Earthbound franchise. So the best way that you can make the developers listen to you is by using, you know, some green.
Yeah.
Plus the amiibo looks great. So.
Yeah, that would be awesome to get it, Mother 3 over here in the West translated, but it's
dark. Like, okay, it's really dark. Like the first game, you know, you really feel for the character. The second game is like a fun kind of adventure with so many parody elements that is just amazing and hardly seen in any games today. And the third game is just wow. It's so different, but also has that Earthbound feel to it. It's just really dark.
Yeah, I was reading about Itoei, and he said that he just kind of went crazy on the third game. So
that's the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that so many important people were involved in getting Earthbound made. You know, like Itoei went over to Miyamoto and for the first game, and he gave him his own little team, and it was a pretty cool little, you know, I think he did the work environment kind of similar to Miyamoto's, where it was just very fun, and he let other people
very relaxed.
He wanted it to be like a really relaxed feel, so it wouldn't feel like a job so much, and yeah, so and what I've read, he really put his heart into that first game. But then I didn't realize that without Iwata, the Mother 2 might have not ever really, you know, made it out here.
Yeah,
I don't even know if it would have made it at all.
Important to the release of Earthbound. Like, he stayed up really late. It was like a, you know, labor of love for him. And you can just, there's something really magical about the Earthbound that released over here in the States on the Super Nintendo, which is Mother 2. It's a very different game, and unfortunately it didn't do that well, but it did captivate a lot of gamers' hearts, like during the Super Nintendo era. And I still remember walking into an electronics boutique back in the day, and the marketing for the game, there was like this huge box. And you're just like, what in the world is this? You see like this giant alien standing on it with just Starman. And you're like, this looks really cool. Is this like a sci-fi game? Is this gonna be like R-Type? Is this, it's by Nintendo? Like, what is this thing? And then you brought it home and you were like, whoa, this is a story about a little kid. The only thing that really bothered me when I was a kid, because I just didn't like those type of games, and I still don't, is those first-person viewed RPGs where, you know, everything is just from the first-person perspective.
Yeah.
You don't see the characters, except on the world map when you see them running around and interacting with people. But when it comes to battles, it wasn't the type of RPGs that I really liked in a sense, but I fell in love with the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, the Mother series is all about storyline. So, I mean, like, some people have actually compared it to literature, and people who don't even play games have actually looked at the game. And I believe that's what the person who created the game actually wanted. He actually wanted to make a game that was for people who might not even play games, or like a different kind of gamer. And he said he actually might be kind of gearing it even towards sometimes girls who might not usually play games, because it's all about story. Girls like story. So.
The fan base of Earthbound is so massive that I'm still amazed to see how much it grew. And last year, Earthbound Beginnings finally came out. It was localized, and that was the first game in the series starring Nenten, I believe is the character's name. It didn't come out over here, and I still haven't looked at it, but I'm aware that it was around. The second game was Ness, and the third one was Lucas. But
I'm very curious. I would love to play the first one because I did read somewhere that
I can download it for you. It's on the Wii U.
Itoei said that he kind of put his heart into that first game. He was most excited about that first game. And then, of course, the NES, like you said, it was all about fun. And then the last one was, he just kind of went crazy with it. He did whatever he wanted. But yeah, I would be really interested to try the first one. But I know it'd be long and a lot of stories.
No, well, I mean, NES games, you have to remember how big the cartridge space and stuff was too. But they are available on the eShop, so you can check them out. One of the things that I was always fascinated about Lucas is how popular the character is in Japan.
Yeah.
And how they originally were going to replace Lucas, or excuse me, Ness, on the Smash Brothers Melee. Like, they were originally thinking about doing like an alternate for Ness, you know, to show, because Lucas was the current protagonist of the series. Like, he's the guy.
Yeah, I think we almost had Lucas instead of Ness originally. I don't know. Or either that or it was going to be both of them.
In Melee.
Sorry. Yeah,
in Melee. And then,
in Melee,
due to time constraints, because they really had to rush the the second Smash Brothers game, Melee, like right out of the gate, to be a launch title for the GameCube, which it was in the launch window. It came out in December here in the States. I think Japan, it came out like right away. But we did not get it right in November. We got it near the end of December. And, you know, due to time restrictions and, like, people were really, really rushing it. And that was one of the things that Sakurai even says. He hates when Nintendo rushes to get the game out. They let him take his time with, you know, Super Smash Brothers, Wii U, and 3DS and stuff like that. But Brawl and Melee were rushed projects. And, you know, so when Brawl came out, they wanted to bring Lucas into the franchise, which would be a first for Americans, similar to what they did with Fire Emblem, introducing Roy and Marth and Melee, and then the Fire Emblem games were localized and brought over on the Game Boy Advance, because the Western world, for the most part, hadn't heard of Fire Emblem. We're like, who are these cool sword guys speaking Japanese? But, you know, that was kind of a launching point for Fire Emblem.
People with no feet. No, I'm just kidding.
And now Fire Emblem Fates is coming out, so that's just kind of like, whoa. So a lot of people were hoping that when Brawl released, and Lucas was a big part of the Subspace Emissary, I know I'm going to get hit by copyright for the Sonic music. It's going to happen. Because
it's in the game. It's in the game.
It doesn't matter. It's in the game. It's... This could be bad. So I'm hoping and praying that doesn't happen, but it could.
It's in the game. It's fine.
But anyway,
continue.
Subspace Emissary was the story mode that was in Brawl, and in it, somewhere along the way, Ness gets kidnapped, and it's up to Lucas, who's like this kind of very quiet, you know, keeps to himself type of kid, to save Ness. And over the course of his journey, which mirrors his Mother adventure, is he becomes more courageous and steps it up.
That's cool. I like that. So he's got a lot of character growth and stuff. That's awesome.
That was incredibly cool. So people were like, okay, because Lucas is in Brawl now, you know, Starman.net and a lot of the Earthbound sites are like, we really need to bring Lucas into this and, you know, get his game over here. But there are elements of the game that are just Nintendo never really wanted to mess with. Not just the parody aspect of it and some of the music, which they've used as kind of a copyright thing, which they said the same thing for Earthbound 1, but of course they localized that later.
Yeah.
But the third game is a completely different beast. It's very loved, but it would be a very hard game to censor. Like, the storyline is incredibly dark. Like, it's completely far off.
Like, I think you were telling me it's kind of psychological a little bit, so...
It appears like that. There's two characters. There's Lucas and Klaus, like, that are twins. And then you have the father, and then the mother plays a big role into the storyline, but she's not playable. And that's all I'm going to say. And you in the comments, just chill, because you know where I'm going with this, okay? Mother 3's kind of crazy. Also, Mother fans, just so you know, I am not very good at Lucas or Ness. Like, it's not a character I play very often. Having my little name above the character is kind of helping me see better when I'm playing against large group of enemies. I prefer the one-on-one matches. He's got a hammer. Grab. But he's a different controlled character. Like, he uses a lot of his psychic abilities instead of, you know, yo-yo attacks and stuff like that Ness would use. So he's more, like, into the power attacks, which is really cool and different, but I'm not very good at him.
Yeah, each mother character is different, so Yeah, I didn't realize the first one was called Nintendo. That's kind of funny because Nintendo.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand why, a game that so many people wanted over here, Nintendo wouldn't put it over here until I started researching about it. Censorship, and also just the first one, or the first one that came over here took a lot of money to get over here. It wasn't widely received. I think it sold like 140,000 copies here, but that like sold twice that in Japan or something.
Yeah.
Right? But something like that. Whatever it was, it sold twice the amount in Japan, and Japan's obviously a smaller country. So.
This franchise is so beloved in Japan that in animes today, it still gets parodied.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, but on the Western world, the first game came out, and I still remember the reviews, and I was like, whoa, some people really enjoyed it, like, in the industry back then, but a lot of other people just panned the game. Like, they just, compared to stuff that released in 1995, like Chrono Trigger and things like that, Earthbound just couldn't stand up to it. I mean, Chrono Trigger was like a pinnacle of RPGs at the time, and Earthbound was this fun little adventure with like, quirky characters and great dialogue, and it made a huge cult following even back in the day. But in terms of like what RPGs were back then, it just didn't really, it was in development way too long. If it would have released like in 1990 or 92, it probably would have fared better. But near the end of the Super Nintendo's life cycle in the US, not so much.
Yeah, the only thing I can relate to help myself understand why it was so difficult to translate is thinking about like Sergeant Frog and all the inside jokes from culture and stuff. And they had to retranslate those when it came over to the United States.
Oh, they completely redid them.
So that was the same thing with Earthbound, was they had to give them really free liberties to translate it because of the all the references to culture and everything like that in Japan that we obviously wouldn't get.
No, we wouldn't. So
yeah.
And that was all because of the writer, though. And the writer has even gone on to say numerous times, which he gets really annoyed by, is that he's never going to continue the franchise. It's done. Originally, some of this ill tempt for his series, and part of the reason why 3 is the way it is, is because, originally they were going to release the third game as an N64 title. And some stuff happened where eventually the whole project had to be moved over to the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance is, of course, not the N64.
Yeah, and then it never released officially in the United States, except for people made their own fan translations of it.
They made fan translations of the Game Boy Advance. The N64 game was canceled outright.
Never came out on the
And
N64.
the creator never really recovered from that. That was like a huge blow to him because the N64 was supposed to be like, Nintendo's next big step. Of course, it wasn't because of PlayStation, but it did change the face of gaming with the 3D aspect.
Yeah.
Things like Super Mario 64 and all kinds of stuff. So they were hoping that would be the same springboard for Earthbound, and it didn't happen. So everything had to be downscaled, rearranged, and then placed on the Game Boy Advance, which, people love the story for the most part, and it is, you can look at it as a trilogy, but when most people talk about Mother 3, there's a division.
Yeah. Well, another thing I think is really cool about the series is that it uses some attacks that are actually based to the background music, which I've never heard of happening in a game before. And just like a lot of other elements that are just like, never been done before in a game. And I don't know, I'm very curious to try. I would want to start with the first one, especially because like I cannot believe they translated the first one since it took so long to translate the second one, but I guess they did. It was pretty amazing, so I'd love to try it.
There are so many fan translations of Mother 3.
So it would be possible to
All they would have to do is just give it to Nintendo, but, Nintendo, they would probably want to invest money into it. It would be really easy for them to do it, I mean, from a fan perspective, but then when you look at industry-wise, it's not that easy.
Yeah, I think things just market a lot different in the Western world than they do in Japan. Like, people I don't know, it's just like they're really into the story and into the games that have a lot of heart in them in Japan, and sometimes they just don't go well and
right
over here.
But Mother 3 is
Not as
like
appreciated.
one of the most requested games that Reggie, since he became NOA president, gets on a daily basis.
Well, then they should do it. So they should do it. But I know it's got stuff
Earthbound
in it.
fans and Reggie, they're always to war, like pretty
Yeah.
much, So Sakurai bringing Lucas into this game was a big deal. Like the internet went just as crazy for Mewtwo as it did for Lucas.
Yeah, so now after, learning everything about the Mother series, I know a lot more that Lucas is not just some kid with a baseball bat. He has a lot of weight behind him. He's pretty awesome.
A stick with a leaf.
He has like an entire army of thousands and thousands of fans, if not, hundreds of thousands or more. So, yeah.
Totes. PK. Oh. I missed. He also has the cool PK freeze ability, which I really like, but I mean, this character is just fun to play. I'm not gonna go and do for glory or anything like that, because sword characters are my jam. Just picking up the character, he's fun to play. His abilities seem pretty well rounded. I like Ness's yo-yo because it reminds me of Star Tropics, which I loved and hated as a kid. So.
Oh yeah, Star Tropics. This character also reminds me of that because he's a little kid with a. Well, Star Tropics, he has his Mike with a yo-yo, which
Mike
I
with
like.
the yo-yo, that's right.
I would love to play that, but it's hard.
No Star Tropics or Mock Rider love from Nintendo. Come on.
I want to see Mike from Star Tropics in here.
Yeah, and then you can have the little squares drop on people's heads, being an assist character.
It reminds me of my childhood when I do not know how I got through those games. Oh my gosh, they were hard.
There you go, Lucas. Beat Classic mode with a little star.
Yay, Lucas! Woohoo!
So just a quick reminder, we will be looking at Roy's our boy from Fire Emblem. I know I forgot. And also Mewtwo.
Roy's our boy.
Some Smash Brothers stages where Amber will play.
No.
Yes. I can see the Kirby Troll float death already. But I wanted to thank you guys for watching. If you love Earthbound, again, mash that like button.
And
tell
let
your
us
friends.
Know your favorite Earthbound character. And yes, tell your friends.
It's really important to check out the games on the Nintendo eShop. I know I feel like a commercial, but, the first Earthbound game is beginnings. It's $6. So, check it out. The graphics aren't really going to be your jam, but the storyline you're going to fall in love with. I promise you that. And then if you can handle kind of the quirky craziness and funness of Earthbound 2, or just Earthbound,
Mother 2,
on the Super
Earthbound.
Nintendo,
Yep.
that is also on the eShop. And of course, our Japanese friends who are adamantly watching both our Smash Brothers stuff and the anime games that we're currently doing, are really excited about Mother 3. I believe it came on the Wii U eShop, or it's coming. I don't remember.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yes. But, of course, the saga's over. The trilogy is done.
No!
Never expect anything more with it.
Come on, Itoi, make Mother 4.
And
I know he won't.
Be nice to Itoi if you meet him in person. If he ever does come to an event, don't ask him about Mother, because he's going to get up, look at you, and just walk away. Because that is a very big thing that he will. I've seen him get very upset in interviews too. If an interviewer in Japan asks him, "So what about the next Earthbound?" He's like, "No, we're done. We're done. It's no,
we're done here."
I have a book, or I have something else we could talk about, or I could talk about my love for the characters, but I'm done with the characters. The world is done. So just respect the artist.
I feel happy seeing Lucas jumping around there. Oh, there's
Lucas
Klaus,
and
his twin.
His twin.
Cute.
Who's an alternate skin, so.
Okay, did not know that.
Yes. But I just love this shirt. Because it's I did die because I don't.
It's an amazing purple shirt.
Bye-bye! Well, anyway, guys and gals, that does it. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and support the official release of the Lucas Amiibo, and help Earthbound 3 make it over here. Bye-byes!
See ya!